You guys see why this review took so long now, right? My playtime ended up going into triple digits. I did enjoy the game, and while I did intend on getting the true ending, it's time to do this review. And not only that, other games have come out while I've been playing this, and I have barely even gotten to play them. And not only that, there's other stuff to talk about, so let's get started. I have no intention of comparing this game to Persona, but because Persona is a spin-off of the Megami Tensei series, I might compare those games to Shin Megami Tensei once I start doing reviews of them. I wanted to talk about Persona first because Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5 Royal are both in my top 5 favorite games of all time. But now that I've played Shin Megami Tensei 5 on Switch, it's probably a better idea that I talk about a main installment in the Shin Megami Tensei series first. The first Atlas game I ever played was Snowboard Kids on the Nintendo 64, but my first experience of the Megami Tensei family was through a game called Catherine? I don't know if you'd consider that game part of the Megami Tensei family, but it did have the Law and Chaos alignment system, so take what you will from that, I guess. I then played Persona 4 Golden on the Vita because my friend highly recommended it to me. I played it, beat it, then I played and beat Persona 3. And of course, once Persona 5 came out, I played and beat that game as well. As far as Shin Megami Tensei, however, I had very minimal experience with this franchise. 5 ended up being the first mainline game in the franchise that I've beaten, but the first one I've played was 4. I have not finished 4 yet, but when I do, I will review that game as well. Without further ado, let's start with the plot. While most of us would know the story is purely fiction, I feel like I must make a disclaimer here. This story is purely fiction, and must bear in mind that this game came from Japan, meaning this game came from an entirely different culture from the one I grew up in. Therefore, I will be looking at this game's plot as close as possible to the way developers intended players to see it. In the beginning, the god of law sat on a throne that allows one to shape the world. He wanted no other gods such as Zeus from Greek mythology, Odin from Norse mythology, so on and so forth to approach the throne. Thus, they became demons. The fruit of knowledge was in paradise of God's creation, although it does not say if it was the Garden of Eden or not. One day, a serpent sought out mortals and tempted them, saying, "Eat the fruit of knowledge in this paradise and you will become more like God." But the serpent's true intentions were to revive the war of the myriad gods, bringing chaos into a world of law and order. Fast forward to 20 years before the events of when the game starts, Lucifer wins the war against God, slays him, and now God is dead. Thus, in Lucifer's words, humanity might finally live unbound from their chains. First of all, this is not necessarily a good versus evil story, but rather a gray story that is law versus chaos. I will explain each side here in a bit, but then fast forward to when the game actually starts. You play as a high school student in Tokyo who finds himself in a world called Dat, or the Netherworlds, whatever. Although actually, Japan does not really exist after Armageddon happened. Now that Japan is a wasteland called Dat, God created another Tokyo, which is kind of an illusion or a dream to keep his world going. Think of present day Tokyo in this game like Koholint Island in Link's Awakening or Xenarkand in the beginning of Final Fantasy X. In order to fight off demons that attack in Dat, the protagonist fuses with Aogami, who is an artificial god created by Bethel of Japan, as Bethel of Japan no longer has gods, whereas whereas the Greek branch has Zeus, the Nordic branch has Odin, and the Indian branch has Shiva. What Bethel does is basically fight off demons that attack humans. The protagonist becomes what is a Nahobino after the fusion. This means the protagonist gains the knowledge of gods, demons. The two are kind of interchangeable in this game, and they gain the ability to sit on the throne in which God sat. Tokyo starts to decay late in the story because now God's dead. I'm going to fast forward to the end of the game to explain what law and chaos means. This game has 4 endings: a law route, a chaos route, neutral, and a true ending in addition to the neutral route. You can choose what happens when you sit on the throne at the end of the game. The law route will uphold God's law, meaning the world is recreated to be peaceful and without chaos, but mankind becomes like robots and not think for themselves. I can see the law ending being some people's favorite ending, however my favorite ending is the chaos one. People are allowed to make choices for themselves in this route, as well as think for themselves, accomplish great things, as well as chase their dreams. But of course, people will butt heads because of differences of opinions, thus it won't have the peace and harmony of the law route. The neutral and true ending, however, the neutral one is what I like the least. It destroys the throne of creation, and well, humans and demons keep fighting each other, but humans does see victory eventually. Things basically continue as they were without your input. The true ending, well, I did not get this one as you had to meet special requirements. I did watch this ending on YouTube. The true ending does have more effort put into it in terms of cutscenes, but only humans? No gods and demons? I have not mentioned the characters yet, and well, there's not much to say about them because they are one note and were just a means of explaining the chaos, neutral, and law ideologies in the end. I did not expect this game to have characters like that of Persona, but I would have liked more effort put in than what was given here. I did not grow attached to any of the characters as there was minimal character development, lack of distinct personalities, and did not show up in the plot much. Except for Manazako, who had a distinct personality, was there with me a lot of the game, and had character development. So when the human characters died for what they believed in, I felt nothing. I do not know if that's a Shin Megami Tensei thing, but I had no emotional investment in a particular alignment because of this, so I went by what my brain thought. I tried to ignore this flaw as it's mainly just you and the demons that you recruit along the journey, but I find it to be that this affects the story in a negative way at the end because they get this big moment in the spotlight and there was no payoff for them. It does not really motivate me to create a world just for humans. I cannot find myself to care what happens to these characters, and not only that, not all gods and demons wanted to hurt people. In fact, the fairy village sheltered humans that ended up in the netherworld. Also, Amanazako and all those demons that fought alongside me. So as for my overall thoughts on the story, I will say this had a very interesting concept and premise. I will say this game places more emphasis on gameplay, which I will talk about in a part 2 of this review, but I enjoyed the story overall, minus the one-note characters, and the only ending I really liked was the chaos one. There does tend to be textures popping in here and there, but I do like how this game looks overall. I really like the Nahabino's character design, as I really like his color palette and the lightsaber extending from his hand. I think that's pretty cool. He may look feminine, but Japan does do that sometimes, but trust me, he is a guy. I would say his Japanese voice is pretty masculine, but I will say for his English voice, he does sound younger, if not more gender neutral, if I may say. but if he can dual wield, why does he not do that in gameplay? The demons are interesting looking, and I like how they are rendered in portraits. Lucifer, I will say, looks pretty cool in the final boss as an angel of light. In the Bible, Ezekiel chapter 28 described him as a perfect being full of wisdom and beauty before pride got him banished from heaven, and I think this design reflects that. I've played half of the game in English and half of the game in Japanese, and to be honest, I don't really have an opinion on the game's voice acting, but in this game's case, I do not really think it's all that important for it to be amazing, as long as it's not ear grating, that is. I do like Amana Zako, but it does sound like she's mocking you sometimes. The music? Oh, I love the music. I played extended versions of World of Shadows on YouTube when I wasn't playing this game for a good month. I love the heavy metal battle themes, and it's totally a good time to be an anime fan and metal fan at the same time, because Attack on Titan's rumbling song is amazing. Thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And take care.